Okay, so I thought I'd give you a bit of a hand with the thumb vise and do a bit of a quick video on how to put those components together and how we might go ahead and make that. I'm not going to focus too much on the details of it, but we'll skim through that pretty quickly. So we'll start with the base. So I've obviously opened up Fusion 360, and just before I go on, when you do that, and if you look up here on the job status, and if it's got a number 1 next to it, what you can do is you can actually see most times when you get a new version, it automatically downloads it. And so if you go to restart Fusion, it'll actually download and update those updates that have come in. So when you see the number 1 up there, it's a good job to download the updates and go on with that. Okay, so we're going to start building the base of the thumb vise. So to do that, we're going to go to create sketch, click on our XY plane, and it's good practice to build your sketch around your origin point. So 2 ways we can do that. Center point rectangle will let me build a rectangle from the center point out, so we could do it like that, and then whatever we dimension that to, that sketch will be centered around the origin point. So that's one way of doing it. The second way is if we were to use a 2-point rectangle, we can start our rectangle and we can draw that, and the rectangle that we need to be is 80 by 50. So let's make something that's 50 by 80, just like we need. Press enter. So there's our rectangle, but you can see that it's not centered around our origin point. Now we can constrain that with constraints to the midpoints. So we could do that. We could put dimensions on there. So I'll show you one of those. So let's do one as a dimension and try the other one as a constraint. So if I go to sketch dimension and I'll hover my mouse over there, you can see it changes to a little dot. So from the center point there to that line there, we would need those to be half of 50, which is 25 millimeters. Or I can actually type it as an equation, so I can go 50 divided by 2 and then press enter, and it'll automatically work out the mathematics behind that. So let's try the other one, which was to do a midpoint, and see whether we can get to that to work. So we want to click on that to the midpoint of this line here, and we don't have midpoint, so let's have a see what the error was. So close. Now obviously I've got something going wrong there, so we'll just do that as a dimension as well. So from the line to the center point, bring that up, and half of 80 is 40. Press that, and you can see now that our rectangle is constrained around our origin point. We're going to click on stop sketch. Going to extrude that shape, so I'm going to go up here to create and extrude. We want the thickness of that to be 11, and go OK. Now on that face we can also now do our chamfers on the corner, so we can go modify, chamfer, select all 4 edges, 2, 3, 4. Now the distance for those chamfers is 4 millimeters, so we can type in 4 and go OK. So we've done all our 4 there. We've got some another surface to create on the front, so create a sketch on that plane. This time we're going to do a 2-point rectangle, which is going to go from one edge to the other. So your length is 80, that's pretty easy, and the height of it is 30. Now again, we could make sure that we have that even, so we can dimension that, and we want to go from that edge to that edge, needs to be 10, and that's what it is. So we've got that centered in there for us. We can go stop sketch, again with the extrude, click on that. Now this time we want to do it as a cut, and we're wanting to cut 2 millimeters. So let's go across here and change it where it says operation to cut, and in the millimeter box there, measurement box, we're going to type in -2, and you can see it's cutting in, and we're going to click OK. So now we've cut into that face. We've got 2 holes to do on this side over here. So I'm going to again, you could do those as circles and extrude them through. I'm going to try and use the hole command. So we go to create, and we've got hole, which is a shortcut is for that is to use the keyboard as H. Select the face that we want our hole to be on. Now, our diameter for our hole is 5 millimeters. And our first one, we've got a button here called references, so we can actually reference that to some geometry. So we want to reference that to that bottom line there. There we go. We want that to be 20. And then we've got to reference it off the other side, and it's 6 millimeters over there. So from this edge here, I think it's 6. And where I've come up with that 6 is to use the total length of the object minus 10 minus the 56.5 minus the 7.5, and what you've left over is the distance that needs to be. So if you add up those things, it should be 74. 80 take away 74 leaves you 6. So we've got all those. We're going to go depth. If we spin this around, you can see that our hole is cutting all the way through. Too far, doesn't need to go that far. Our hole shape is only 11 millimeters, so we can actually type in 11 there and then go OK. And if I just spin that back around to the front again, you can see that we've put our first hole there. So we're going to go to that option again, so press H, click on that, again 5 by 11, so it's got those two things that are OK already. We are going 16 millimeters from this back edge here, and we're going 30 millimeters from this edge down here. Oops, so press. Now if you press enter and it goes away like that, what you can do is down the bottom in the timeline, you can see there that we've got hole 2, and we can right click on that, and we should be able to go edit feature, and I'll bring that box back up again so we can actually then edit that again to catch up. There we go. So there are our first 2 holes. Now if we just flip it a bit so we can see it a little bit easier, we can actually put the threads in those holes if you like. So if we went to create, we've got a thread command there. As you see on your diagram, it says M508. So if I click on the hole, it'll automatically pick up the diameter, which was 5 millimeters. In here is where we can do the different pitch types. We want the 0.08, so we want the first one. Now we can also model that. So at the moment it gives us a photographic representation. If I click on modeled, it will actually cut the thread on the piece itself. We can do the same on the next one, so I'll just see if I can show you the difference. Oops, not the hole. Thread. So this time I'll leave the model off just to show the difference. Go OK. So they look the same, but if I zoom in, this one here, there's it's all the same plane. No, whereas this one here, you can actually see the coil is being cut into that. So that's the difference between the 2 holes. I'll leave it up to you to decide which one you'd like to do. Now we've got 2 more holes that we need to do on our diagram. These need to be cut from the back side. So you need to spin your object around. So you're looking at it on the back, like that. We've got 2 holes, so you're going to go to the hole command. Select the back face. Now these are counterbore holes, so we need to change the hole type to counterbore. So we've got 2 lots of diameters now. So the counterbore diameter has a hole diameter of 9.5. It has a depth of 5.4. The other diameter is 5.5. And the depth, you can leave that as 11. We'll just let it go all the way through. Now we're going to put some references in there. So they need to be 7.5 mils from that front edge. So that should be 7.5. And they're going to be, what are we? we've got 50. 50 is the total of the whole lot. And then these are going to be 18 apart. So if we were to do that, that makes 40. That makes 32. Half of 32 is 16. So we can go to this top edge up here. So we should be able to go to references again. And go to our top edge. And I'm not sure why it's not letting me do my... Let's try that again. So, references. That's a bit strange, but you should be able to do your references. There we go. So that one's 9.5. And then this one, oops, that's not what we wanted to do. Let's try all of that again. So, press the whole command, select the face. We want a counterbore. 5.5 for that one. We want this one down here to be 5.4. This one here to be 9.5. References from the top there, we want it to be 16. And from this edge here, we need it to be 7.5. Okay, very good. Go OK. Right, there's the first hole. That's how it should have been that easy the first time round. Okay. So again, same thing again. See if we can make it pretty quick. So it already keeps all the measurements there. This time again, we do our measurements. 16 down this side. And from this edge here, it was 7.5. And go OK. And there's our two holes that we've got. So spin it around. And we'll put it on the isometric view. There you go there. So that's what our base plate should look like. So that's the end of the first video. Hope you found that easy.